It's the 10-pin. Back, stage left, aboard the oily precipice over which too many rocks have already been hurled. A matador, an eye of Sauron, a remaining canine of a punch-drunk boxer who sneers and, eventually, swallows. But the hurler on lane 12 pays no heed, even with his pronounced hook. Too far right, he's gutter-bound, overzealous. Too left, cowardly. No. My dad steps up with a 16-pound prophecy and he quells his beast right in the heart. Pop, punctuated with a subtle Tiger Woodsian fist pump. God, he can make bowling look cool. Now, facade generally lifted, I catch him on his dorky celebratory jaunt back to our table, boogieing to some Stevie Wonder something or other while bowling ball Tarzan swings and kicks down the final pin in the animation above. Disco lights splashing in from an adjacent boy's birthday party. And I ask him, stuck in my own boy-like wonder, how he never misses single pins. Like, ever. It's what Pop-Op Lester used to say, and I ready my mental notepad for sage-like strategy. Just never miss single pins. Instinct, of course. Bowling magnetizes our family, but for my dad, it's as integral to his being as his beating heart, his Baltimore Orioles, his overworking sweat ducks, his Grateful Dead. It's generational. His grandfather, the aforementioned Pop-Op Lester, rattled home his duck pins in Baltimore, though invariably outshined by his life and lane partner, the 4'6" Mamam Zelda, who laughed, danced, and hand-scored spares well into her 90s. Of course, I'd be remiss to neglect the Lebowskian blood on my mother's side, too. Her father, Pop-Up Bob, forwarded us league email blasts bragging about his week-high 190s, while Uncle Pete's high school trophies collected dust in an unpacked moving box in our grandmother's basement. But it's our dad, the eternally positive, downright uncaring soccer and baseball coach who would only turn Tiger Mom when we didn't shake hands with the head pin, whose love inspires even my sports agnostic sister to own a pair of bowling shoes, whose enthusiasm inversely correlates with the dinginess of the lanes, who draws us to these lanes too. I am surprised to uncover, just recently, that my dad's dad also rolled. Barry, just Barry, losing pop-up credentials after vanishing from my dad's life and family just as he was to start his own, was apparently not bad. In fact, my dad remembers strangely housing some Connecticut-style pizza near a Chicagoan alley after Barry's 236. And Barry was the one who celebrated my 14-year-old dad's 288 at Saul and Saul in Baltimore with a hot corned beef on rye. He wasn't always a bad dad, he tells me, flatly, for the first time ever. Not an ounce of insincerity in his voice. And yet, he disappeared. Bitterness kept him from my parents' wedding. The lone time I did see him, eulogizing at Mamam Zelda's funeral, significantly shorter and stouter than my psyche had projected, a duck pin in his own right. He and my dad bumped into each other in the bathroom, prompting awkward recaps and reminders of our names. With the same flatness then and now, my dad stated that he was driven to be a good dad because of him. There's an intention, a consciousness, less so than Lester's 10-pin. And now, at the same age and stage my dad was when his relationship with his own was severed, I shamefully worry if it's possible to be as good as him without something to knock down. Later that year, my dad and I are welcomed by Eagle Rock Lanes, our de facto home turf, after our beloved highway bowl nearly collapsed from asbestos the year before. Inexplicably, just us. It's a special day, not just because it's Father's Day, but because with my back-to-back turkeys, it's the first time I break 200, and it's the first time I beat my dad. A clutch spare in the 10th seals it, and I turn to find my defeated opponent, pride loudly and unabashedly spilling out like a promise delivered. I pump my own fist, do my own dorky jaunt, and exhale easily for the next frame.